When it comes to Vancouver real estate, everyone is talking about waiting, especially if they are a purchaser, but this is what you are missing. In 2025 and even more so in 2026, we have a record amount of mortgage renewals, which means that sellers are distressed, they are pressured, and they are over leveraged, which means sellers are selling at massive losses. Just this past week, I'm going to walk you through these properties. I had one buyer on a high-end property purchase save almost $2 million, and another Vancouver penthouse purchase where we saved $400,000 on that purchase as well. So I'm going to be showing you exactly what these renewal numbers look like, what the affordability, to show you what sellers are facing, and to exactly target these specific type of properties if you are looking for a great deal in this current market. The first chart I'm going to bring up here is just showing you how many mortgages are renewing over the next couple years. This is where the opportunity lies, and then pairing it with the affordability charts to show you what these sellers are experiencing on the back end. So you can see here a wave of Canadian mortgages set to renew. Loans totaling about $900 billion will renew from 2024 through 2026. So in 2025 here, we're just above that $300 billion mark. And then 2026 is the big one. This is where the pinnacle is. And that's why there's such a great opportunity over the next 12 months. For those who are patient, for those who got their financing in order and can make a quick move, because there are over leveraged sellers. And a big reason for this, anyone who's bought in the last 5 years, a lot of people over leverage, use home equity line of credits to get into the market, or bought some sort of pre-sale that completed and now they are not going to be able to make their payments. So they are getting ahead of it. So if they know that the renewal is coming up maybe in 2026, they're starting to put their property up on market, hoping to get a certain number. And then they start to see these massive price adjustments until they get to a point of no return and just have to liquidate that property, or they will lose it to the bank for nothing. We know that court-ordered sales are also going up here as well. So this is really where this opportunity lies here in 2025 and 2026. We can see here in 2027, there is also a big number of mortgage renewals, but by that time in 2027, there should be a little bit more relief in terms of mortgage reductions, in terms of the Bank of Canada. Not massive, but we know that affordability is about 20% down from when it was in its peak in 2023. There may be a little bit more relief. So I think the big opportunity here is 2025 and getting into 2026. Then you can see that, in 2028, it goes downward. And then we're going to be in an environment where pretty much the bulk of the people are at today's rate. So that pressure point of being able to take advantage of someone who's over leveraged is going to disappear. So what does it look like as a seller on the back end to show you why they are pressured and why they are over leveraged? You can see here at the peak in 2023, this is when monthly mortgage payments on a typical home were at its highest. A lot of people were using home equity line of credits, doing what they could to survive and try to keep their home as quickly as possible. But as these rates didn't drop down as quick as most people thought, they're going to have to make some difficult decisions here. And we can see that, past 26 and 2027, there may be a little bit of relief, but it's not going to be enough for people to be able to hold on to some of these properties. So you can see that in 2025, where we are at now, if you go back on a typical 5-year term, you can see what these mortgage rates were here in 2020, 2021, even 2022. Just above that $2,500 a month marker. Where we're at now is about $4,500, so about $2,000 a month more. That is quite substantial for a typical home monthly mortgage payment to be able to go up. So that's what people are facing here, essentially going from this graph and jumping all the way up here in and around this $4,500 marker. And this is where that value is. And this is why, if you are a buyer, you should be looking at anyone who's purchased in around this 2020, 2021, someone who bought a recent pre-sale property that is a couple years old. This is where you're going to get a lot of value. This is where I'm getting my clients extreme value. And I'm going to go through 2 of these properties here in 2 different segments in 2 different markets to show you what is happening and what we are seeing. The first property I'm going to show you is a beautiful home in Morgan Creek that we were successful in. We're going to be having the completion just in a couple days here. This one was 3622 156th Street. And what I wanted to show you here is just some of the history. So this is a brand new home, falls in line with what I was just speaking to you about, something that was purchased or built within the last couple years. And it goes with my analogy of people wanting to start up very high and they're cutting, and then finally have to make a difficult decision. So as you can see, in August of 2023, they originally had the property listed at 5.5. They then dropped it down to 5.15, drops to 4.990, 4.750, 4.488, and then down in locking this up at $3.8 million. So you can see that with that drop, this was almost a $2 million difference in terms of what they were originally wanting until what they had to let it go for. And this is exactly what we're seeing on the ground. Being able to find certain properties that fit these demographics. It doesn't have to be a high-end home. There's opportunities even in the entry markets. It's more so going on these fundamentals in terms of what to look after, who's over leveraged, what is distressed. So this was a just over 7,300 square foot home. Keep in mind, this did have GST included on it. So, that was another mark against it, would made it a little bit difficult with the purchase price. There was GST that was applicable on this purchase. But this was a massive lot, 13,000 square feet. It had a massive pool, hot tub, all the items that you would want in this perfect family home. So my buyers were really happy about this. They were one of the only sellers that I've been working with in the last little bit who had a positive equity position when they sold their home. But even with that, it took us just over 7 months to be able to move their property. We had an eye on this for a long time. So when we finally were able to get an offer on it, we were able to use some strategies to be able to close this. So in this marketplace, another strategy and tip that I have for any buyer out there, make sure that you sell before you buy in this market. And the reason being is if you know exactly what you've sold for, and you have that money in alignment, you can make very strategic offers and quick closes. The secondary property that I'm going to be showing you here in a little bit, we have the same strategy, very quick close. This one was about a 3-week close. So if you can have your money on deck, you can do a quick close. You have a short subject removal period. You can get some of this value here. The next property here is in the River District, 2201-8538 in Vancouver, a penthouse, beautiful penthouse, overheight ceilings, tons of windows, water views, mountain views, all of the things. And you can see, again, a very similar history. They've been trying to sell this property since November 18, 2021 for $1,649,900. And again, similar to that last property, multiple reductions here down to 1,626, 1,588, 1,568. And then you can see that some strategy that sellers will have is try to go very undervalue to try to get a multiple offer, to try to push those values up. That's very hard in this market, and that's why you'll see this reduction here from 1,466 down to 115. And then they brought it back up to 1,399. And then we were successful here at a 1,350 purchase price. So when we pull this listing up here, you can see a little bit of a photo here that 1,383 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a massive patio. And what was really great and the selling point on this was 2 massive patios. They had a private rooftop with stairs going up where you could just see all the surrounding areas. And this is only a 7-year-old building. And one of the previous penthouses on this floor, I think around 2 years ago, sold for just over 1.7. So you can see that we know when the market does come back at some point where it was at a high, there's a lot of room of growth here. And from where they were originally in terms of where we are at now, we saved a ton of money in terms of where this property can be to get some of that quick appreciation moving forward. So these are just 2 recent examples within the last couple of weeks of what you need to focus on if you're a buyer. If you're wanting some more strategies and tactics, make sure that you book that discovery call in the QR code or in the description below. I can highlight some properties and we can come through with a strategy to make sure that you are successful, because whether it's a penthouse in Vancouver, a beautiful home in Morgan Creek, other properties in Burnaby or Vancouver, there are a ton of good value purchases. But if you don't have your pre-approval, if you don't know your numbers, if you're not prepared for this, you're going to miss out on great opportunities here.